It's time for SportsGrid College Football today. We are live and in charge, and don't you go anywhere today, Joe. What a slate we have. You might have thought the past couple weeks, like, hey, guys, the energy is high on the set, but the games aren't matching our energy. Today, the games will match the energy. Donnie, Rightside, Joe, Lisi, 2 hours. You do it every single week with us. Wait till you see some of these games on deck today, Joe. Come on now.
Wait. Forget the Ryder Cup.
Man,
forget the Ryder Cup. If you're watching the Ryder Cup. The slate for today is unbelievable. 12 o'clock action, 3:30. The late-night games between Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, Oregon. Doesn't get better than this. Top 25 battles at 3:30. Yeah. We'll see how those games play out. And we saw some upsets last night, including Virginia, right? The upset outright over Florida State. If that's going to be what happens today, we're in store for a great week 5.
Shaw last night? I mean, how far do we have to go back?
That was
Sean Moore?
1995. Warwick Dunn. Back in Charlottesville.
By the way, let's
George
talk about
Welsh.
that game real quick. We always like to go back and rehash because I was really excited, Joe, for next weekend's action. Miami and Florida State would have been prime time, 2 top 10 teams. But you always sometimes have that look-ahead factor. Talk to me about Florida State last night getting tripped up in double OT in a high-scoring game.
Well, they're undefeated going into the matchup. It's a conference game. I don't think it was a look-ahead per se because they have Miami on deck. But you start out, Virginia starts fast. They score first. Chandler Morris, the former TCU North Texas quarterback, making plays in the RPO game. The fumbles killed Florida State early. They get back into the game. They're playing catch-up. Thomas Castellanos played lights out. Unbelievable performance, but you have to finish, right? And they could not finish in the overtime. Deuce Robinson, you're a receiver, right? That was a terrible drop. Could have tied it, at least potentially tied it. They would have had to go for 2, but critical calls, they don't make the plays, and now they have their first loss, but they can get back off the mat next week against the Hurricanes.
Oh, they're going to stay down on that mat next week against the Miami Hurricanes here. The number 2 team in the nation, but there is no Hurricane football this weekend, Joe, so let's get into the madness of some of the biggest games on the card today, which starts 7:30 p.m. down south, Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. It's Alabama and it's Georgia setting the table for this game, Joe. The opening lines right around that 4.5 price point. They're all gone. It's 2.5s across the board. Everybody buying into Bama, and a total of 53.5.
Well, think about it. Bama has won 9 of the last 10 in the series, 4 of the last 5 by an average margin of victory of 11 points per game. Got this victory last year by 7 points. Jalen Milroe, dynamic performance on the ground through the air. 75-yard touchdown pass to Ryan Williams to seal the deal. But when you look at just Georgia as a whole, right, the identity. Now, Alabama does get Jam Miller back, their starting running back. He was out the first 3 weeks. Is Ty Simpson as athletic as Jalen Milroe? If he proves that today, they're going to win the matchup. That's why you see money coming in on Alabama. Alabama hasn't been favored in the series, Donnie, since 2020. That was the year with Mac Jones and Nick Saban. They won the national championship. Georgia's on a 33-game home winning streak. Gunnar Stockton, this team's playing lights out. They're both coming out of a bye. Georgia's coming out of a bye. But I believe in Georgia's... Bama too. No, they played whiskey last week.
9-13, they played them on same thing as Tennessee.
All right. There you go. But for me, Don, I go to identity. And the identity of Georgia is still now running the football. They're averaging 209 yards on the ground. They can pound the rock. Last year, they were at $142, and every time, I use this statistic, every time Georgia rushes for over 200 yards, they are 51-0 straight up against FCS and FBS opponents dating back to 2017. That's a dynamic performance. If they can run today, they're going to win it, but that's why we play the games.
I'm going to get back to Georgia in just a few moments with you, Joe, because I want to talk Alabama football. We noticed at the opening of the season, like Kalen DeBoer is already coming in on the hot seat. They get beat by Florida State, and that wasn't a pretty game. And then you say, well, maybe Florida State's going to be really good. Florida State gets tripped up last night. I'm not saying that we go against and you say, okay, well, Alabama's not a good football team because of what happened last night. But do we trust them? 31-17 lost to Florida State. You come back ULM 73-0. That's what you're supposed to do. Then you beat Wisconsin 38-14. What have we learned, Joe, since that loss to Florida State that we can say, well, you know what? Good performance. Now they're ready to take on Georgia.
It all hinges on Ty Simpson. He's playing very well in the scheme, but the first road game he had at a conference, he didn't step up in Tallahassee. This is a different animal with a team that's won 33 straight. Now, Georgia did struggle with G-Tech last year and Haynes King. They get pushed to the limit in 8 overtimes. They win it by 2 points. So you can't say that Ty Simpson in this offense can't put up points. But if you look at last year, Donnie, Jalen Milroe abused that defense on the perimeter. Do we believe Ty Simpson is that type of player where he's going to account for 100 yards on the ground and just rip that team? I do not see it, and that's why I give the edge to Georgia in this matchup. Again, Kalen DeBoer got Kirby last year at home. It's going to be very difficult to pick up this victory. But anytime Bama's catching points, you're going to see people buy in.
Yeah, and earlier in the week, going over multiple shows here on the SportsGrid Network, I said to myself, I like the 3.5 points. I think it makes sense because I think we're going to get a close game, and I'll leave it where it falls. But now we take a look, Joe, and I want to play this angle with you. Florida State, that game was on the road. They lost that. They had 2 home games, obviously won those games. Now they're back on the road. And correct me if I'm wrong, that atmosphere is going to be electric tonight. Like, I think it's going to be a blackout, what they have, everybody wearing black in the stands. And that's going to add to the intrigue of the game for myself. And both teams, right, Joe, coming off a bye, ready to go. Do we see that total getting pushed over tonight, or is this a defensive battle between the two?
Well, again, it all hinges, I believe, on Georgia's ability to dictate the tempo.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson, and I think Alabama will try to start fast to get them into a rhythm. But if you're Georgia, I want to methodically work down the field. I'm playing at home. I want to see if I can wear down that front seven. When you look at the first game of the regular season against Florida State, they got ripped for 240 yards on the ground, Alabama. That was untypical. They're allowing 138 rushing yards per game. So if Georgia has success early, it could be an under. But again, it does hinge on Georgia's ability to dictate the tempo. If Bama's dictating the tempo, I think we blow through this total.
Let's go for the same type of game plan here as we look at the Georgia Bulldogs, Joe. You take a look at their opening win against Marshall, 45-7, Austin Peay 28-6, which is an interesting one there. Then they go on the road and take on Tennessee. They were getting beat up in that game, and you have to give credit in a tough environment coming back to win that football game. And I'm glad that they had the extra week where it's not that ultimate high, and then you play Alabama the next week. So you sort of got that decompression, you enjoy the victory, and then you get back to business. But what have we learned from Georgia over the first 3 games?
Well, again, I still think they are the most complete team in the country. And people will say, well, Joe, they allowed 41 to Tennessee. I get that, but Joey Aguilar, to me, is an upgrade from where Nico was last year. And again, if you watch that game, second half adjustments by Kirby Smart. Tennessee dictated the tempo in that matchup. They jump up 7-0. Gunnar Stockton was forced to play from behind. They then fall behind 21-7. Defense makes adjustments, and then Georgia answers. I still believe in the Georgia wide receiver core. Give the edge to Alabama with Bernard and Ryan Williams over the core that they have. But Zachariah Branch, Kobe Young, you get Delp and Lawson at tight ends. That's no joke. And Gunnar Stockton, battle-tested now. He's played in a couple of big games. Give the quarterback edge to Stockton over Ty Simpson.
Let's talk futures in this as well, because obviously we know Georgia is 3-0, 1-0 in the SEC. You take a look at the Alabama Crimson Tide, 2-1 on the season. We talked about that Florida State loss. They haven't played a game yet in the SEC, but we know you can probably in the SEC, Joe, afford 2 losses. But talk about Alabama if they lose this game in Kalen DeBoer, where you're not getting bonus points for beating ULM at home 73-0. Alabama is expected to win this football game, even though they're underdogs. That's their fan base, Joe.
It is. So they drop this game. They could still get back into it because the loss to Florida State is out of conference, right? So as long as they run the table and have 1 loss and win an SEC championship, most likely at 10-2, 11-2, Alabama would be an at-large team if they don't win the championship. But there is no margin of error. Let's not forget the other games that are on their schedule. LSU, even though it's in Tuscaloosa, it's a rivalry game. So the pressure builds week in and week out for Kalen DeBoer. Again, they gave him a pass last year at 9-3. They go 9-3 this year and miss the college football playoff. They're going to be on the outside looking in. He's going to be on the hot seat in 26.
By the way, quickly, ask me this question, too, because you take a look at Jan Miller coming back. Is he fully healthy for this game? Are we expecting a full workload?
Collarbone. So, again, you take one hard hit with that. It's only about 4 or 5 weeks since he's been gone. He's a big kid, physical, and he runs with authority. That's going to be a cause of concern. We have to monitor that in the first quarter.
The one good thing about that, though, it's not like an ankle injury or like a calf injury where it could linger around. So he's probably getting some pretty good work in over the past couple weeks. Just had to have that jersey on, which you weren't able to get hit. But that is a big game in the SEC. We're going to turn it over next. Another game in the SEC, people. It's Ole Miss and it's LSU up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Donnie, the season is 6 months, 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month, that is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's the Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Whoa. SportsGrid college football today. Some say it just means more, particularly in the SEC. Big games all day today. Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi. We're going to hit them all, don't you worry. How you feeling about the SEC, Joe? Are we living up to the hype this early in the season?
Are you kidding? 3:30 in Oxford, the Grove, LSU?
Vern calling the game?
Who?
Vern?
No, probably, I don't know. But Testator and Jesse Palmer. And then we're in for probably an instant classic.
Now let's set the stage for this one. In the Grove, one of the better atmospheres for tailgating in college football. LSU comes to town, Joe. By the way, did you know they opened up as a minus 1.5 point favorite? That's not the case today as we sit here on Saturday. We're as high as 2.5 at some outlets and a total of 57.5. Some might say, Joe, LSU is the most overrated team in the country. Is that you?
No, it's not. And I understand why they're saying that because of the week one performance against Clemson. Now Clemson with 3 losses. Does it look as good in
look at
week,
that picture.
In week number
By
one?
the way, why do you have jeans on? That's going to get reported.
That's the look now.
No.
Everybody wears it.
You can't wear jeans. You don't have jeans on today, do you?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
All
There
right,
you
go
go.
ahead.
But let me just say this. When you beat a week one opponent with 6 months of preparation, a team that was 70-5 over the past decade at home, and you go in on a week one and beat them 17-10, I think it's as good a win as anybody in the country, especially when that team was a top 10 opponent. So, again, we look at it different ways. I think you're seeing the line movement right now because the home team has won 5 straight in the series. Another caveat, starting running back for LSU, Caden Dorm, doubtful for this game. It came out late yesterday, so all of a sudden now you're seeing the 1.5 push to 2.5 with Trinidad Chambliss and or potentially Austin Simmons, whoever starts. But again, last year was 29-26. Game went to overtime. It's going to hinge on Garrett Nussmeier and that offense being able, I believe, to run the football and then challenge that secondary over the top. When you look at Ole Miss last week, they contained a very good Tulane offense, but LSU's offense is different. They have playmakers at every level. Tight ends are good, Green and Bauer Sharp. You look at the wide receivers as well. They all run a 4-3-4-4. They're going to challenge, I believe, Ole Miss over the top and potentially push a little bit of tempo. But when you look at the defenses, that's where I give the edge to LSU. 27% third down defense, holding opposing offenses to 62 rushing yards per game, 3.7 yards per carry, Donnie, and only giving up 184 passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. You look at this Ole Miss rush defense, they're giving up $190 on the ground. Biggest game, whoever starts a quarterback. Simmons or Chambliss, biggest game that they've had. I like the veteran quarterback in Nussmeier. I think they win it outright.
I'll tell you what's interesting, too, about that LSU schedule, Joe, because heading into the season, whoa, look at that start they're going to have at Clemson. What a big-time win that was. Doesn't look like it's that great of a win, but you can. Game number one's on the road in that environment. Like Clemson probably had aspirations. We're probably going to win a national championship. At least they thought that was going to be the case. Now, obviously, they're not even going to make the college football playoff, and they're basically out of it, and is Dabo coming back? But that 17-10 win, like, I don't want to knock that. But then you have Florida at home. It's 20-10. Your defense played fantastic football. And then you go, well, Florida isn't that good. So where does that leave us, Joe, hype-wise for LSU? Because preseason, hey, they're going to beat Clemson, they're going to beat Florida. Wow, they're rolling into Ole Miss hot. And now you say, like, are those actually good wins, and are they program builders for this season?
Well, I understand that, but, Florida the week prior to LSU loses to South Florida 18-16. They go on the road. It's a rivalry game, so you're going to get Florida's best shot, especially if they're upset about that or bitter about that loss. It was a defensive battle. But who has Ole Miss played? They beat Tulane. Are we putting Tulane's offense with Jake Retzlaff on the same level as Nussmeier and LSU? They beat Kentucky and got pushed to the limit by Kentucky in Lexington with Austin Simmons. They won that game 30-23. It was a 4-quarter game. So where's the marquee win for Ole Miss right now? So if we're looking body of work, Florida and Clemson, to me, when they played them, are better quality wins than what right now Ole Miss has on their resume.
Yeah, we'll get into some of these prop bets a little bit later in the show, but it's interesting where it's like, okay, who's going to go for Ole Miss at quarterback, but yet they're still the favorite in this game. Nussmeier's going to be there, one of the guys that you're looking at in the Heisman Trophy race to possibly win it and put up in, battle-tested, been there, done that type of guy. 962 passing yards on the season, 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But also, talk to me about the running back position, Joe, on either side of the equation today. Are you going to be LSU enough to get that ground game to sort of keep that crowd at bay and say, you know what, we're here to play?
Well, Kewan Lacey for Ole Miss is definitely the better and more consistent runner in this matchup. You look at Ole Miss's offense right now, they're averaging well over 200 yards per carry. He's averaging well over 5 yards per carry at 5.4 on the season with 2 rushing touchdowns. But the tempo is where Ole Miss catches you, right? They hit a couple of throws, they're running fast, and then all of a sudden, running lanes open. If it's more of a defensive battle early on, the way Kentucky got them into a slow type of movement, they built a 10-0 lead. That Ole Miss offense struggled until they were able to catch them in the 4th quarter. So this is the style that we're going to see. But if you're looking at LSU, Caleb Jackson, the bigger running back, and Harlan Berry, the freshman. Harlan Berry's, I think, minus 125 to score a touchdown today. They're going to utilize both of them, but it hinges on Nussmeier. I think they spread him, throw it first to open up the run. But again, that's the key. Ole Miss's front seven, not the same as it was last year.
Talk to me about this, too, because sometimes off-the-field antics sort of get into game day Saturdays. Landry Kiffin. You ever heard that name? No. It's not the son of Lane Kiffin. It's his daughter. She's dating Whitweek's superstar linebacker for LSU. And this isn't one of those things like, we knew about that for a year. This was launched basically in the last week. Like, hey, guys, we're out here and we're dating at this point. Come on, Lane. Is he getting information? What's he doing?
No, he said
he's got to be getting information.
Whit 2 weeks ago was knocked out of the first half for targeting against Florida. They still played up. He's a gamer. He comes from a coach's family as well. His dad's a coach. But they also had the E60 documentary about Kiffin that just dropped. So I don't know if they're trying to bring hype. Lane does a great job of social media. I love Lane, just not this week, especially when he, in my opinion, going up against a much better team offensively and defensively. But we'll see how it plays out. Wouldn't shock me if Ole Miss wins. I just think LSU is the more complete defense, and that's why I think they win it outright. This is one of my better picks today.
Joe Lisi's LSU here. And by the way, Lane Kiffin, he has a good season here. Florida seems to think that if Napier's fired, they're automatically going to get Lane Kiffin here. Is he going to stoke that fire this year? Like, I could leave, I could stay. Why? I might go.
See, here it's all money, right?
Yeah,
because I mean,
money.
for Ole Miss, if you let's just say he has this team, Oxford 11-1 or 10-2. You're building that train. Why would you leave to go to Florida just for more money and then you have to rebuild it up? I would think that they would also potentially look at Gruden. He's been tied to the program. He knows people on the board, and he lives in Florida. That's another opportunity for Gruden potentially to step up and walk in there.
Only a matter of time, but a big game in the SEC. We just went over 2 SEC games. You know what, guys? That's not even the game of the day. Joe agrees with me. We're going to Happy Valley next. It's Oregon, West Coast, Penn State, East Coast here. a favorite for the Penn State Nittany Lions? I'm going to ask Joe what that actually means, and can Penn State and James Franklin actually rise to the occasion and win a big game? Next, right here on SportsGrid College Football.
So let's play a little game of buy or sell. It would appear from most of the reports, George, that Mike McDaniel is going to keep his job as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. This is a long season, though, and they're already 0-3. Buy or sell, McDaniel will be the Dolphins' head coach at the end of the season.
He's going to get fired. All right, it's either now, later in the season, at the end of the season. He's not making it to next year. So the only question is, do they let him go towards the end of the season here? New York, Carolina, Chargers, Cleveland, Atlanta, Baltimore, bye. Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington going into that bye. And that Washington game, by the way, is in Europe somewhere. So I don't think he survives that. I don't think he's going to survive the bye week. I think it's going to go 1-3 of those games, maybe even lose all 4 of those games. No. And I think they will trade some players away, so they're going to be a worse team than they are now here. No, I'm going to sell this. He does not make it to the end of the season. I think they're going to fire him after week 11, if I had to guess. I think it's the perfect spot because not only is there a bye week, tough schedule beforehand, but then you have New Orleans at home. Good place for a new coach to start.
My thing is this, George, and here's why I am going to buy this. I think he's going to make it through the year and then he's going to be fired. Is because I just think it is rock bottom right now. They're 0-3. So, are they going to lose 3 consecutive games again this season? I don't think so. I think they're going to win 6 games or 7 games, which tells me it's win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, So I just think they make the change at the end of the year. If they're not going to make it now and they're 0-3, the only thing that I would say to caveat would be is if they lose in their next game. If they lose that next game, then 0-4, yes, I think it happens. I don't think they will, though. So I am going to buy this.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid College Football Today. We are just getting started, and we're heading to Happy Valley. It's Beaver Stadium. It's State College, the center of the universe today. Joe, Lisi, Donnie, Rightside here. Let's get it started. This is a game, Joe, that Penn State never wins for me. Oh, James Franklin in a big game. Don't worry about it. He'll lose this game. He'll get another 7-year extension from the Board of Trustees. But let's be honest. Penn State's expectations aren't to keep this one close, Joe. They are favored in this football game at 3.5 across the board. And something that we typically don't see during the entire week, Joe, I think it stayed at 3.5 the entire week with no movement. So let's just start there before we get into the game itself. Oregon, Penn State at Happy Valley. Penn State a favorite today.
So you're right. So these are the games typically that James Franklin and the Penn State and the Lions failed to step up. But those were against the likes of Michigan and Ohio State. Outside of that, they've done a pretty good job. Now, they lost the Big Ten championship game last year. They were able to move the football, but the defense, Tom Allen had no answers for Dylan Gabriel and the offense of Oregon. They scored on almost every possession. The pass, the football, running the football, it didn't matter, and that's going to be the cause of concern going up against Dante Moore. But you just look at the statistics, right? 4-20 Penn State is against top 10 opponents in the James Franklin era. They do have the quarterback advantage, though, because even love him or hate him, he's more experienced, I believe, and has played in bigger games, Drew Aller, than Dante Moore. Dante Moore, up until this point, has played fantastic, completing over 60% of his passes, 70% of his passes, 962, 11-1, but he's transferred from UCLA. His biggest road test up until this point was Northwestern. They won but didn't cover. And it's going to be a whiteout in Happy Valley. So, what is the matchup here for Penn State to get the win and then cover the number? It is the lowest number, Donnie, for Penn State as a favorite. Yeah. Okay? Dating back to 2016 when they played Minnesota, they laid 3.5 in that game. Yeah. They won 29-26. So we'll see. Jim Knowles does have a key on Oregon's offense when he dominated them in the Rose Bowl. That's another factor why I lean to Penn State here, but I do not love this game in any capacity.
Looks like a good quarterback battle that is going to set the stage, Joe. But let's answer this question, because so many times you talk about battle-tested teams. These guys are good at running up numbers. You play Villanova, FIU, Nevada. Then you take a look at Oregon. Hey, they played 4 games and even one conference game. Oregon State, Northwestern, Oklahoma State, MTSU. But if we're looking honestly, how do you evaluate these two programs coming into this game when neither one of them have played anybody this season, Joe?
Well, here's the way you evaluate it. Who has the quarterback edge, right? And experience-wise, just like we broke down LSU. Yes, Trinidad Chambliss and Garrett Nussmeier, right? Drew Aller is the more experienced guy. He's got to prove it now in a big spot. But if we're talking where you want to go with your money, I'll go with the quarterback. But Dan Lanning does own James Franklin. The one game they played, he dominated them. He always has his teams prepared. But it does hinge on Dante Moore stepping up and rising to the occasion. If this game was in Eugene, I would be all over the Ducks in this matchup just because – at home, that home field advantage and knowing Drew Aller in a big spot doesn't step up, right?
Yeah.
That is the recipe here. I got the home field advantage. I have the more experienced quarterback and the better rushing attack potentially with Singleton and Katron Allen. I'll take a shot. If I had to bet this game, I would lay it with Penn State.
Now, we've been hearing a lot of things about the next level, Joe. That means quarterbacks getting drafted high and playing in the NFL. Drew Aller's one of those guys we've heard for years now. When is it time to step up? Because it feels like to me, and it's not one of the, because Penn State, as I said, they don't usually win these games. You tell me tonight, Joe, Drew Aller has a great game. They keep it consistent on the ground. James Franklin comes away with the win. Maybe we start to change the pendulum there on what we feel about Penn State and big football games. But it's almost like until I see them do it, it's a perfect opportunity tonight. But the expectations for Aller, he's supposed to dominate, Joe. We can't have 10 of 27 for $132 and 2 interceptions, and we were close at the end, but I just couldn't get it done. He needs to step up.
Well, think about it. You lose to Notre Dame. He doesn't complete a pass to a wide receiver in that matchup. He relied solely on Tyler Warren as his tight end. And when you look at the receivers now, Pena transferred in. They have Reynolds. Can he get the football to his wide receivers in this matchup? Penn State's averaging 193 rushing yards per game, 5.5 yards per carry with Singleton and Katron Allen. If they can't run the football, they're in predictable third downs, and that'll benefit the Oregon defense. But I agree with you. You look at Drew Aller 2 years ago in 3 big games, completion percentage, right? Under 50%.
Yeah.
The big games last year, he throws for 120 yards after they're spotted a 10-0 lead at home to Ohio State and then can't lead a fourth-quarter drive to tie it up. He needs a better effort tonight. But again, everything is there for Penn State.
Yeah.
Now they have to live up to the expectation.
White out tonight. Penn State is the home team. You have Penn State coming off of a bye. You have a West Coast team coming East Coast. It really is the perfect storm for Penn State to win this football game. But I still can't get back to, oh, my goodness, Joe. I'm looking at James Franklin. What are we doing? They cannot win the big football game.
No, and expect Dan Lanning to throw out and throw the kitchen sink at Penn State and really give them their first conference loss.
Who's playing for clicks tonight? We are going to find out, but more college football games on the way, which includes, how about this one, people? Ohio State, Washington? Yep.
So let's play a little game of buy or sell. It would appear from most of the reports, George, that Mike McDaniel is going to keep his job as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. This is a long season, though, and they're already 0-3. Buy or sell, McDaniel will be the Dolphins' head coach at the end of the season.
He's going to get fired. All right, it's either now, later in the season, at the end of the season. He's not making it to next year. So the only question is, do they let him go towards the end of the season here? New York, Carolina, Chargers, Cleveland, Atlanta, Baltimore, bye. Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington going into that bye. And that Washington game, by the way, is in Europe somewhere. So I don't think he survives that. I don't think he's going to survive the bye week. I think it's going to go 1-3 of those games, maybe even lose all 4 of those games. No. And I think they will trade some players away, so they're going to be a worse team than they are now here. No, I'm going to sell this. He does not make it to the end of the season. I think they're going to fire him after week 11, if I had to guess. I think it's the perfect spot because not only is there a bye week, tough schedule beforehand, but then you have New Orleans at home. Good place for a new coach to start.
My thing is this, George, and here's why I am going to buy this. I think he's going to make it through the year and then he's going to be fired. Is because I just think it is rock bottom right now. They're 0-3. So, are they going to lose 3 consecutive games again this season? I don't think so. I think they're going to win 6 games or 7 games, which tells me it's win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, So I just think they make the change at the end of the year. If they're not going to make it now and they're 0-3, the only thing that I would say to caveat would be as if they lose in their next game. If they lose that next game, then 0-4. Yes, I think it happens. I don't think they will, though. So I am going to buy this.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
So many good games today. So much interaction. Myself, Donnie Wrights, along with Joe Lisi. We got to get through these games because we got 2 hours to do it, which we do, Joe, every single week. We bring the energy to make sure we get you the games. Particularly, Joe, we lead you right in the kickoff.
That's it.
But then, you know what's coming up next at kickoff? USC, Illinois, Joe.
Come on.
181, 182 on the rotation, a 12 o'clock start. Look at this. 6.5-point favorite. What happened, Joe? USC sitting here at a 1.5-point favorite at the opening number. Now we're up to a touchdown. Did everybody watch Illinois last week? Like, yeah, I'm out on that one. I'm out.
That line, and I talked about it during the week, Illinois opened as a 4.5-point dog to Indiana and Fernando Mendoza. It goes to 5.5. People, I'll buy in at 5.5. It goes to 6.5. It went to 7 by kickoff, and they get absolutely boat race, 63-10. Fernando Mendoza completes 91% of his passes, 5 touchdowns, 291 through the air, and becomes the Heisman frontrunner after that dynamic performance. But you look at Illinois now coming back home, 6.5-point dog. USC is undefeated in the top 24. They get the win but no cover against Michigan State. They put up 45 points. They win it by 14 as an 18-point home favorite. Now they go on the road. They do have the offensive advantage here, and they might have the defensive advantage here. I just think when you look at this matchup, can USC stop the run? They're holding opposing offenses to 92 rushing yards per game. This Illinois offense still wants to run it with Brett Bielema. They're going to play old school football, I believe, in the beginning. And then if they fall behind, maybe open it up. That'll be the matchup. I lean to Illinois in a bounce-back spot, Donnie, but it's going to be very difficult.
You take a look at the total, too, Joe. Opened 56.5. Now we're into the 60s at 61.5. But also understand this, too. I always get a kick out of this, right? Like, the Pac-12 just basically disintegrated. And now you're like linking around. It's not fair. We got to come east and play at noon. Get over it, man.
I mean, come on. I mean, you know, you want to talk about a coach doing, I think, less with more than Lincoln, right? What is the big game? Tell me. I keep going back to this. He had the number one. He had the number 1 pick in the draft in Caleb Williams. Couldn't win a Pac-12 championship. Regressed year after year after year. He beats LSU week 1. He loses to Maryland and Minnesota, respectively. You can't. I could see if Lincoln Riley was getting $2 million a year. Guy's getting $11 million a year. Donnie, he could coach up quarterback talent, but he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach.
And also understand this, like UCLA is not competing with them for talent. Like they are the team that's supposed to get all of the talent here. It's supposed to be an easy move, and now it's like, oh, I can't believe we have to play a game at noon kickoff. Well, good luck. You're favored by close to a touchdown. Don't come up small there, Joe.
Yeah, I just want to say this. The matchup to look at is the front seven of USC that has 16 sacks on the year. Illinois' offensive line has been a little broken down. They've allowed 16 sacks on the season. Can Luke Altmaier at least make some plays with his legs, avoid the rush? Because if that offensive line breaks down, that's advantage USC. They'll cover that line. I lean in a bounce-back spot to Bielema over Lincoln Riley. I just think Bielema's a better head coach.
Upset alert. Could we have it here? Joe, let's date this back maybe 25 or so years ago.
O'Brien?
The University of Miami goes up to the Pacific Northwest in the year 2000. They got beat by Washington. Then they rolled the table and got robbed. We'll talk about that maybe at a later time. But now you take a look at Ohio State. They're not used to going out to the Pacific Northwest. They're going to hear a stadium that's absolutely loud. We're not going to play in Michigan, that big, mausoleum there where it's not that loud. Husky Stadium absolutely shakes. This line, Joe, and I don't know if this was an opening line, just a blinker. Ohio State was a double-digit favorite. Now we're down to 8.5. 53.5 as the total. Is this a landmine game for Ohio State?
I think it's going to be a very difficult game for Ohio State. Not to take away from Ohio State's defense. They're only allowing 5 total points per game. We know Caleb Downs in that secondary. But this is a true road game for Julian Sayin now, right? They've dominated at home. They got the week 1 matchup over Texas. Now he has to go to Seattle. Julian Sayin playing very well, completing 73% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But he's going up against one of the most underrated defenses in all of college football in Washington, holding opposing offenses right in the area of about 30% on third down conversions and one of the most underrated quarterbacks. He's a 50-1 shot entering this weekend. And Damon Williams, he's completing 73% of his passes, Donnie. Over 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. He can scoot. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry. And oh, by the way, Donnie, let me just tell you this. Number 1 ranked third down offense in all of college football, Washington. 75% on third down conversions. I'll take the 8.5 as long as we're over the 7.5. That key number, I'm going to take the point. This is not going to be an easy game. I will say this: 52.5. I think is a little light. I think Damon Williams and Washington can put up points. Also think Ohio State can. We might get into the 60s in this matchup.
Ohio State out of the shoe. That is certainly going to be a great test here as they battle a little bit later today, and we'll certainly get back to that game a little bit more in hour number 2, Joe. But another SEC battle here. How about Auburn taking on Texas A&M? This line opened up over a touchdown favorite for the Aggies. Now we're seeing 6.5s at most outlets across the board. A 52.5. Now we're sitting at 51.5. Auburn and A&M, Joe.
It's a critical matchup. Last year, Auburn won in overtime 43-41. It went right down to the wire. I was on A&M against Notre Dame. Marcel Reed in this offense throwing for 313 through the air. Concepcion has stepped up, the former NC State transfer. He has playmakers, but I'm still not sold on this Texas A&M defense. This is going to be the matchup. Can Auburn wear them down? Even in the loss, Donnie, to Oklahoma last week, and you could say Auburn got robbed with the controversial touchdown with the substitution, that defense played very well against John Mateer. They did not allow a lot of chunk plays throughout the game. That's going to be the matchup. Jackson Arnold needs to step up. Auburn's averaging 193 rushing yards per game. They're only averaging $183 in this matchup. I'm going to take the points with Auburn. I think they can run it. I think Arnold could step up. I don't know if they win, but 6.5 with back-to-back road games, I think is enticing to me.
We're going to run it here. And the reason why I said that is not because my good friend Joe Lisi. It's because if you can just listen right now.
I hear it.
You hear the echoes.
I do.
The echoes are waking up here. It's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the road for win number 2 against an SEC team in Arkansas. You take a look at this game, Joe. Notre Dame was around a 6.5-point favorite. That's dipped to 4.5. I completely disagree. Notre Dame dismantles Arkansas today on the ground, Joe.
It's one of my better bets of the day, Donnie. I agree with you. All time.
You're buying in.
All time. Let me tell you. Here's the thing. All time, Notre Dame 38-18 against SEC opponents. They have never faced Arkansas. But you go back to the loss last week where they had Memphis dead to rights. They have a double-digit lead, allow Memphis to steal it in the fourth quarter. 2 weekends in a row, they could be 4-0 if it wasn't for fumbles by their offense. How is that going to affect Arkansas? Sam Pittman's on the hot seat. Bobby Petrino potentially wants his job. The fan base is up in arms. But it's the defense for Arkansas. They allowed over 7 yards per rush to Memphis in the fourth quarter. 200 yards rushing in that game. Jeremiah Love coming off a $153. Jadarian Price with 3 rushing touchdowns. It's going to come down to, can Notre Dame run the football early? I think they can. Forget C.J. Carr being inexperienced in this matchup. I give the edge to Marcus Freeman. Not only that, last year, Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame battle-tested on the road. 8-1 on the road or on a neutral field. Week 1, they were still prepared in that game. They lost it by 3 to a better team in Miami. This Arkansas defense is not Miami. I think they're going to have their field day on them. Don't be shocked. Close early, second half, Notre Dame pulls away. I think they win it by double digits.
Price, my favorite backup running back who, if he just didn't play behind Love, will be a superstar anywhere else. And my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, another victory on deck today.
No, they'll get the win, Donnie. They're not making the college football. We can talk about this. They're not making the college football playoff.
Joe. It starts here and it builds into a boulder as it rolls.
It will.
And at the end of the year, we're going to sit on this show. Look at me. Look at me in the green. Is that a green tux, by the way?
Is that you?
That is a green tux right now.
AI does you
Oh,
wonders,
wow. Look at that.
You look like Conor McGregor.
Now, why am I upset in this? But, I am backing them. I am backing Notre Dame. Why are we upset?
Because they have no shot to make it into the college football playoff. No, I don't care what anybody says.
It might be the best crypto smash play of the century. Notre Dame rolls all the way through. And they take them to win it all once they get there.
I will give props to Taylor Green. If he was on any other team, he'd be a Heisman frontrunner right now. The kid's unbelievable. This Bobby Petrino offense averaging 550 total yards per game, but playing in Fayetteville, defense matters, and that's where I give the edge to Notre Dame in this matchup.
By the way, 63.5, Joe. What do you say?
I mean, they've blown through every total Arkansas has. I was on that total against Ole Miss. They got through it against Memphis. I think if Notre Dame runs the football, I think you'll get a much better defensive effort than what they've showed in the previous 3 weeks. I would lean to the under, but again, it wouldn't shock me if they get this game into the 80s.
Wake up the Echoes, people. That's the way we do business at this point. And by the way, sometimes you need a coach to step in and say, hey, boys, calm down. It's Coach Terry Bowden. He joins us next.
So let's play a little game of buy or sell. It would appear from most of the reports, George, that Mike McDaniel is going to keep his job as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. This is a long season, though, and they're already 0-3. Buy or sell, McDaniel will be the Dolphins head coach at the end of the season.
He's going to get fired. All right, it's either now, later in the season, at the end of the season. He's not making it to next year. So the only question is, do they let him go towards the end of the season here? New York, Carolina, Chargers, Cleveland, Atlanta, Baltimore, bye. Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington going into that bye. And that Washington game, by the way, is in Europe somewhere. So I don't think he survives that. I don't think he's going to survive the bye week. I think it's going to go 1-3 of those games, maybe even lose all 4 of those games. No. And I think they will trade some players away so they're going to be a worse team than they are now here. No, I'm going to sell this. He does not make it to the end of the season. I think they're going to fire him after week 11, if I had to guess. I think it's the perfect spot because not only is there a bye week, tough schedule beforehand, but then you have New Orleans at home. Good place for a new coach to start.
My thing is this, George, and here's why I am going to buy this. I think he's going to make it through the year and then he's going to be fired. Is because I just think it is rock bottom right now. They're 0-3. So, are they going to lose 3 consecutive games again this season? I don't think so. I think they're going to win 6 games or 7 games, which tells me it's win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, So I just think they make the change at the end of the year. If they're not going to make it now and they're 0-3, the only thing that I would say to caveat would be is if they lose in their next game. If they lose that next game, then 0-4, yes, I think it happens. I don't think they will, though. So I am going to buy this.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid college football today on a Saturday. No better place to be. Leading you up till kickoff at noon today. It's Donnie Rightside along with Joe Lisi, and this is one of our favorite parts of the program. We bring in the coach, Coach Terry Bowden, because when the days are this big, we need some help out there, Coach. You got to love days like this, don't you?
Oh, it's awesome, man. It's going to get better, and it's going to get better as the sun sets. The games only get better and better.
Let's dip into it right now, Coach. Alabama and Georgia from Athens, Sanford Stadium. It's going to be rocking. Both of these teams coming in with extra rest, ready to go, so they should be prepared. And the line movement here was a favorite here that we were looking at 4.5 for Georgia. It's down to 2.5. Coach, Alabama, Georgia, the SEC, the way it's supposed to be.
Well, this is a big one here, but Georgia does not lose at home. That 33-game home streak, it's important to those players. It's important to those coaches. It's important to those fans. It's going to mean something to them. But I think when it boils down to these two talented football teams, Georgia not only has a better rush defense, but a much better running attack. In big games like this, you got to have a great running attack. And then third, I just think Gunnar Stockton's a better scrambler. He can do more things with his legs than Ty Simpson. And so I got Georgia winning this game outright against Alabama.
Coach, when you look at Kalen DeBoer last year, he did a really good job of out-game planning Kirby Smart in the first half of that matchup, utilizing Jalen Milroe's athleticism.
Absolutely.
How do you think he attacks this game on the road with Ty Simpson making his second career road start? First time did not go well. Do you think he learned from that experience in week 1, and what does he do a little bit differently?
Yeah, Joe, he definitely remembers, but Joe Milroe had speed. He beat Georgia to the outside. His scrambling ability is much more versatile, much more athletic. Ty Simpson's a smart runner. He'll run when he needs to, but he can't hurt you like Milroe could hurt you. So I think he'll want to get as much yardage as he can out of his quarterback, but he's got to understand they've got to be able to throw and dump off the ball and keep that running game going so they don't depend on the legs of this quarterback like they did last year.
Let's keep it in the SEC, Coach. We're going to head down to the Grove. That's LSU taking on Ole Miss. We see the favorite early in the week, which actually LSU. It's now flipped over to Ole Miss in a total of 57.5. Big ball game today, Coach, between LSU and Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's got to be home field. And that does make a difference in the SEC. There's so much tradition, but this is a big game. I've talked to LSU people. I'm in Louisiana. Whether it's Alabama or Ole Miss, they're both their top two enemies. But I won't tell you, in big games, look to the veteran quarterback, the guy with experience, the guy that's battle-tested. That's Garrett Nussmeier. You got two young guns at Ole Miss. The bigger the game, the more likely either one of them makes a mistake, throws a pick, doesn't handle the pressure. But because of the quarterbacks, because of the veteran quarterback, I have to give this game to LSU. That's the biggest thing. And, of course, Ole Miss has not seen a defense like LSU's defense.
Coach, big matchup in Happy Valley, battle of top 10 teams, Oregon and Penn State. As a coach, James Franklin in this particular situation hasn't been able to answer the bell. From the coaching perspective, what can Franklin do in this matchup, and who do you give the edge at the quarterback position?
Well, let me say that what can he do? He's already done. He's known their schedule since February. He knew who they played game 1, game 2, and game 3, 3 cupcakes. He knows that his legacy depends on that fourth game. He's got to win the big game, and this is the first big game. And I believe they prepared. They were vanilla. They weren't too wide open on offense the first 3 games. I think he's got this team geared to play their best football. That's the biggest thing. Their game plan and an off week. So I think that is the thing that gives them that advantage. And then not only that, he goes out and hires the most expensive, the best DC in America from Ohio State. Why? They were number 1. 2, the last loss Oregon did have, they lost to Ohio State and Jim Knowles. I think he's done everything for this game, and we have to factor in that this is kind of the game they've been prepping for behind closed doors all year.
Coach, we talked to you yesterday on the early line about the atmosphere with some of these football games today, which includes up there in Happy Valley. It's a night game here. You were coaching many big games here. What do you tell the players throughout the day where, as you like to say, hey, we're not playing, it's not a 12 o'clock game. You got to calm down and save that energy for tonight.
Yeah, you got to keep them from thinking too much about it. We like them to watch football during the game. Watch football. Don't worry about the game that we've got. Get your focus on other things if you can. Some guys like to watch a movie. Just don't focus. Don't get up at 12 o'clock noon for a 6:30 game. Get ready for that football game. Now, and you're right about the atmosphere. I played against Penn State in there. I coached against them, and I broadcast in that stadium. 110,000 in a whiteout. Let me tell you something. Penn State, the Lion will not sleep tonight.
There's another dynamic atmosphere on the West Coast. Seattle, Washington squaring off against the top team in the country in Ohio State. Ohio State defense, we know, one of the best in the country, only allowing 5 points per game, but it's Julian Sayan's first true road start. Ryan Day in this offense, how do they get Sayan prepared? Even though he's played 4 games, they've all been at home.
Got to run the football. Anytime you want to bring a quarterback along, and this will be his first big game on the road, then don't make it all about him. Don't give him second longs and third and longs. Don't be afraid to punt the football. You got the best defense in the country. Don't be afraid to punt the football, and don't make him have to win it until he has to win it on his own, because he might have to. But you know what? In a big game like this, and I feel like Ohio State's going to win, that the points scare me. I'm going to stay with Ohio State, but I'm scared of these points. But anytime I got a game like this, I look at the defense as opposed to the offense, and Ohio State has the best defense on the field. They win this game, and I am going to take, 8 points now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're up to about 8.5, Coach.
I'm taking them anyway. I'm 8.5, and that's tough. But I think the defense will play along. That will play the best. It'll be the best Washington's seen. And I always, in these big type games, will go with the defense.
Coach, when you were back in the SEC, right, you're used to the playing environments. Like, hey, you're going to go on the road to Tuscaloosa. You're going to Gainesville. There's going to be, big-time football down there in Georgia. What happens when you take your team on the road in unfamiliar territory, like Ohio State's going out to Washington? Usually when they go out to the West Coast, it'd be for the Rose Bowl. How do you handle that?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is go out early on Friday and let them walk the field. Go in the locker room, walk the field, maybe just take pictures. We used to have a substitution walkthrough on the field. Get a feel so when they come in on game day, it's not like it's out of they're not used to it. I want them used to it. Get there on Friday. Make sure you do a walkthrough. You give them some comfort in the environment. Because I promise you, once the game starts, the yelling at one field is not a whole lot different than the yelling at another field. So it's all about the mental aspect before kickoff. Because after kickoff, it's all about blocking and tackling and making plays.
Absolutely fantastic stuff from Coach Terry Bowden. You can catch him all week long on the SportsGrid Network with my good friend here, Joe Lisi, on the Bowden Blitz. Thank you, Coach. What a big game. We are excited as well.
Take care, man.
So let's play a little game of buy or sell. It would appear from most of the reports, George, that Mike McDaniel is going to keep his job as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. This is a long season, though, and they're already 0-3. Buy or sell, McDaniel will be the Dolphins' head coach at the end of the season.
He's going to get fired. All right, it's either now, later in the season, at the end of the season. He's not making it to next year. So the only question is, do they let him go towards the end of the season here? New York, Carolina, Chargers, Cleveland, Atlanta, Baltimore, bye. Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington going into that bye. And that Washington game, by the way, is in Europe somewhere. So I don't think he survives that. I don't think he's going to survive the bye week. I think it's going to go 1-3 of those games, maybe even lose all 4 of those games. No. And I think they will trade some players away, so they're going to be a worse team than they are now here. No, I'm going to sell this. He does not make it to the end of the season. I think they're going to fire him after week 11, if I had to guess. I think it's the perfect spot because not only is there a bye week, tough schedule beforehand, but then you have New Orleans at home. Good place for a new coach to start.
My thing is this, George, and here's why I am going to buy this. I think he's going to make it through the year and then he's going to be fired. Is because I just think it is rock bottom right now. They're 0-3. So, are they going to lose 3 consecutive games again this season? I don't think so. I think they're going to win 6 games or 7 games, which tells me it's win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, So I just think they make the change at the end of the year. If they're not going to make it now and they're 0-3, the only thing that I would say to caveat would be is if they lose in their next game. If they lose that next game, then 0-4, yes, I think it happens. I don't think they will, though. So I am going to buy this.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid college football today, having some fun. It's time for the Rat Pack. I got to get Joe's focus back in here. All Joe cares about is the Ryder Cup today.
No, stop
over here.
Stop. I won't watch one stitch in the Ryder. I said,
you've been watching more than one stitch, trust me.
Listen, I'll just say this. If you watch the Ryder Cup today, you need to have your head examined if you're a college football
stop
fan.
it. What about tomorrow, the full slate of Ryder Cup starts at 12 o'clock. You going to watch that?
The NFL games aren't all that great.
Oh, wow.
They're good, but they're
you
not.
don't care about NFL shows on Sundays or anything like that either? Come on now.
Of course I care. I'm betting NFL. What are you talking about? Yes, but if we're comparing NFL action this week to college football, no, it's not even close.
Look, we're about an hour away from kickoff. The energy has to keep up at this level. And when we talk about the Rat Pack games, Joe, some people are like, I'm not paying attention to that game. Pay attention, people, because the spreads are outrageous. Now, UMass, I used to like to bet against them in the previous, let's just say, decade, because the one thing they did under Mark Whipple, they went fast and they gave up a ton of points. They were fun every single week. Like Ohio would play them, be like 55-54 at the half. It felt like sometimes. But today, they're taking on an SEC opponent, Joe. They're getting 44.5 points from Missouri. Can UMass go on the road and shock the world? Not by winning, by staying within 50.
Yeah, they can. I mean, Missouri, again, is very good at home. Bo Prabula and that offense stepped up. They got the win, but no cover against South Carolina.
Man.
Last week, they were a 13.5-point favorite to start, got down to 9.5. They won right on the number of 9, and if you took South Carolina, you were a winner. Are they going to step up with SEC competition coming up? I would take the points with UMass here. Again, I would close. I'm not betting this game, but
how do you play it though? If I told you, Joe, full game or first half, because Missouri's going to say, "Hey, look, everything's good."
Well,
first half.
They're going to look to get out of Dodge, right? So it's be
running
Missouri,
clock second half.
No, it'd be Missouri first half, rest the starters in the second half, and get out of Dodge. So you would probably lay the first half line with Missouri. If they start slow, then Missouri's not going to cover, right? I mean, the 56.5 is intriguing because Missouri could get that on their own when that offense is humming. The problem is if they pull the starters in the second half, do they still get there? I would take a shot, UMass and the under.
Just handing the football off. How about Diego Pavia and those boys in Vandy ranked in the top 20? Could they do some damage in the SEC? Well, today, it's no SEC opponent. It's Utah State, Joe, a total of 58.5 and a heavy favorite. Over 3 touchdown favorite. Anchor down or no?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Even though they have, big games on deck, Diego Pavia is a blue-collar guy. And to hold him back in this type of situation, when you have it, we're not talking LSU, we're not talking Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. This is Vanderbilt. It's very rare that they're undefeated heading into Week 5. I wouldn't want to slow down that momentum with my team with vanilla play calling if I'm Clark Lee. So Pavia's dialed in. Let's roll with him. He's a dark horse candidate potentially to win a Heisman Trophy, especially with big games upcoming. I would lay it with Vanderbilt. I would take the over.
How about this next game, Joe? What a sad state of affairs. Rotation number 167, 168, a 3:30 start. Baylor's in town to take on Oklahoma State. T-Boone Pickens Stadium. I don't know if it's going to be half full for this one, but look at this number, Joe. 17.5. Whoa, Ohio State or Oklahoma State favored by that much. No. That was the opening number. We're sitting at 20.5 now. Not a favorite towards Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State at home getting 3 touchdowns. It's a new era in Cowboys football, Joe.
It is. It's a rematch of the Big 12 championship years ago where Aranda got Gundy in that situation. Sawyer Robertson's one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in all of college football. If they start fast, they're going to blow Oklahoma State out. Now, I understand the fired coaches system where you want to buy in. But in today's landscape of college football, where freshmen and players can transfer out after the first 4 games of the regular season, and knowing that Gundy, got fired, you could say unexpectedly, I don't think the team was aware of the situation. Our kid's going to check out. They have no offensive identity. The defense has been atrocious since Jim Knowles left. And it did get up to 21.5 a night ago, and they immediately, sharp money came in and they got it down under a key number. I would be very cautious. I think Sawyer Robertson's going to light them up. It could look similar to what we saw against Oregon.
Rat Packs never, ever disappoint here. We'll see what these 3 games have in tail for you. I'm going to ask you an extended version of the Rat Pack today. Now, when you talk about homecomings, like you talk, Micah Parsons, right, Sunday Night Football, are they going to put something on the video board for him? And Jerry says absolutely not. How about this, Joe? Kaliak Manis going back to Minnesota today as the Rutgers quarterback. I mean, is the tension palpable in the air?
No, come on. You really think that? With these, first of all, the kids don't
take
even
it to the next level.
It's Minnesota. You think we're talking about the days of Ricky Foggy and those groups?
I mean, let's go back to the Metrodome, by the way,
that's
for
what
Minnesota.
I was talking about.
You know what I mean? Come on now.
Ricky Foggy. I mean, come on.
Rowing the boat is the way we go.
Tutu Atwell. I mean, I remember those games.
Give me another Minnesota
Lawrence
guy. Come on
Morency.
Now.
Remember him? Maroney.
Now, why did you say Morency?
we have a Morency on the network. It's just, it's commonplace.
Yeah, good times overall here. But again, take a look at the Rat Pack, some of those bottom feeder teams that you need to stay in touch with, but also understand this, Joe. Hour number 2 is action-packed. Hour number 2 is prop bets. Hour number 2 is best bets. Hour number 2 are the biggest games on the table, which includes Penn State and Oregon, which is the best game of the day. We'll be right back. Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback, and quite frankly, he doesn't get enough grace, I should say, for saying, I win football games. Like, what would you rather? We go play Mahomes, and, 41-40, Hurts, 375, 4 touchdowns, they lost. Boy, that guy's good. Or no, hey, you know what? I'm going to play within myself. I'm not going to turn the football over. I'm going to play within the game script here, and we're just going to win. Doesn't matter who gets the accolades.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The biggest games, the biggest bets that you need to know. So much fun already, Joe.
I'm
we
having
got
a good
lot
time.
of information
Love
now.
it. Yeah. Good games, not great, but again, it's college football. You can bet on them, nothing better.
Bet it, win it. By the way, and I always like to say this, and it's true. Like, you can have the worst game in the world. You cash your ticket, it's like a Picasso. That game was the best game I ever watched in my life.
Are you kidding?
Exactly.
Especially when you're hitting parlays.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
2 favorites are still the 2 favorites. So for me, it's just whether or not you got Herbert at a better price or if you think there's a better price to get at this point. But I mean, with the way Josh Allen plays and generally Lamar Jackson, it still does appear to be a 2-player race. The only thing Obviously, this is an injury league, Adam, and in the NFL, an injury that keeps you out 4 or 5 games, all of a sudden, those odds will shift.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.